Hello friends, good afternoon and welcome to EduSet Live Lectures. Dear friends, as you know that we have started a series on polynuclear hydrocarbons and heterocyclic compounds, and today we are conducting yet another lecture in the same series. In today's lecture, we will be talking about the concept of saturated heterocycles. To discuss this topic, we have with us our subject expert Dr. Vandana. Dr. Vandana is Assistant Professor in Department of Chemistry in Dayal Singh College, University of Delhi. Without further ado, I would like to welcome ma'am to our studios and request her to start the lecture. Welcome ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Hello viewers, we have discussed about the series of polynuclear hydrocarbons and heterocycles. Many polynuclear hydrocarbons, anthracene, phenanthracene, naphthalene, and we have discussed many heterocyclic compounds like thiophene, furan, indol, and today I will discuss about saturated heterocycles. What are saturated heterocycles? The heterocycles which contains saturation, that is absence of unsaturation, or we can say in other words double bond or triple bonds. Outline of today's lecture is we have discussed significance of heteroatom, reactions of saturated heterocycles, the Baylis-Hillman reaction, oxygen heterocycles, sulfur heterocycles, confirmation about saturated heterocycles, anomeric effect, nuclear Overhauser effect, synthesis of heterocycles. You can see the examples of saturated heterocycles. First of all, you can see this is nicotine which contains pyrrolidine ring. This is conine, it contains piperidine ring, and this is the poison in the hemlock that kills Socrates. This is tetrahydrofuran ring, and it is in human waste product, 3 to 5 milligram per day excreted in urine, and you can see this is the tetrahydrofuran ring, a saturated heterocycles. A ring contains a heteroatom, that is oxygen. Another example you can see is rose oxide ketone, and this is the tetrahydropyran ring, and it is used in perfume manufacture. The saturated heterocyclic rings are piperidine, morpholine, tetrahydrofuran, pyrrolidine are more obviously derived from the names of aromatic heterocycles. Some of these we have discussed: nicotine, conine, cocaine are the plant products falling into the class called alkaloids. More examples of saturated heterocyclics, these are some structures you can see. This is tetrodotoxin, lethal poison in wrongly prepared and cooked Japanese pufferfish. It is clavulanic acid, this is an antibiotic. You can see this is the structure of saturated heterocycles. This is musty taste of cocked wine. This is epoxide or oxirane. This is dioxane, a common solvent, and this is morpholine, an important base. You can see this is a structure of cocaine. Significance of heteroatom. Firstly, heteroatom makes the ring easy to make a ring closing reaction or by a ring opening reaction. Secondly, the ring fixes the orientation of the heteroatom and the orientation of its lone pair relative to the atom around it. The reactivity and conformation of the heterocyclic can be explained using the concept of stereoelectronics effect. Stereoelectronic effects are chemical consequences of the arrangement of orbital in 3-dimensional space. Reactions of saturated heterocycles. In many reactions, the simple saturated nitrogen heterocycles, for example, piperidine, pyrrolidine, piperazine and morpholine, behave simply as secondary amines. As any other amines, they act as nucleophiles in addition and substitution reactions. Morpholine, for example, is acylated by 3,4,5 trimethoxybenzoyl chloride to form the tranquilizer and muscle reluctant trimetoxine. N-methyl piperazine can be alkylated in an SN1 reaction with diphenyl methyl chloride to give the travel sickness drug cyclazine. You can see this is morpholine and how this trimetosine formed. You can see this is the heteroatom, and with its lone pair of electron, it attacked to this carbonyl group, and followed by elimination of this leaving group chloride, you will get this compound trimetosine. Another preparation you can see cyclazine. Here this is diphenyl chloride and methyl piperazine. How it attacks? You can see there it is a lone pair of electron on nitrogen atom, and it attacks to this carbocation C plus, and you will get this kind of compound. The addition of pyrrolidine to aldehydes and ketones is a particularly important reaction because it leads to the formation of enamides. This is the representation of reaction. First of all, you can see this is the aldehydic molecule, this is pyrrolidine, and this lone pair of electron attack to this carbonyl carbon, followed by this protonation of this alcoholic group, and then there is a removal of this water molecule, followed by rearrangement within this portion, and you will get enamine. Enamines formed from pyrrolidine and piperidine are stable because pyrrolidine and piperidine are rather more nucleophilic than comparable cyclic amines such as diethylamine. This is a general feature of cyclic amines and cyclic ethers. The alkyl substituent being tied back into a ring are held clear of the nucleophilic lone pair, allowing it to approach an electrophile without hindrance, and this is the representation of reaction. This effect is well explained by comparing the rates reaction of methyl iodide, this is methyl iodide, with 3 tertiary amines. This is the tertiary amine R3N. The two cyclic compounds are bridged. Quinucleidine is a bridge piperidine, we will see in the coming slide, while the diamine known as DABCO, this is what is DABCO? Nothing but 1,4-diaza bicyclo 2.2.2 octane is a bridge piperazine. And we are looking for this table. Here you can see the rate of reaction of amines with methyl iodide. This is triethylamine, this is quinucleidine, and this is DABCO. And you can see the relative rate of reaction of all three compounds and pK values of R3NH. This is 10.7, 11.0, and it is 8.8 and 3.0. The table shows the relative rates along with pKa values for triethylamine, quinucleidine and DABCO. Quinucleidine and DABCO are 40 to 60 times more reactive than triethylamine. This is again due to the way ring structures keep the nitrogen substituents away from interfering with the lone pair as it attacks the nucleophile. The triethylamine and nucleidine are equally basic and more or less are diethylamine, dibutylamine and piperidine. A proton is so small that it cares very little whether the alkyl groups are tied back or not comparatively to alkyl group. The extra heteroatom through an inductive effect withdraws electron density from the nitrogen atom and making it less nucleophilic and consequently less basic. Morpholine can be very useful base, less basic than trimethylamine but somewhat more than pyridine with pK value 5.2. The protonated nitrogen of the monoprotonated amine withdraws electrons very effectively from unprotonated one. Now the reaction Baylis-Hillman reaction. What is that? One of the most important uses of DABCO is in the Baylis-Hillman reaction. It is discovered in 1972 by two chemists in New York. The reaction is a modification of aldol reaction. We have discussed about aldol reaction in aldehydes and ketones. The enolate products of conjugated addition being trapped by alkylating reagent, but in Hillman reaction the electrophile is an aldehyde, and you can see this is the example, and this kind of product will form, and it happens with the DABCO in 7 days. We should remember that it takes more time at temperature 25 degrees centigrade. The reaction starts with relatively nucleophilic Dabco undergoing conjugate addition to ethyl acrylate, and this will form an enolate that can then attack the acetaldehyde in an aldol reaction. How reaction proceed? You can see here, this is the ester group and this is the nitrogen with lone pair of electron. How it attacks? Like this, because of the withdrawal of these pi electrons towards this electronegative oxygen. Hence, we can say there is a conjugate addition. Because of this conjugation, this kind of addition product will form, followed by rearrangement. How it took place? You can see over here, these negative charge or electrons get attracted by this because of this group, aldehyde group, and this kind of aldol condensation, or you can say aldol addition will take place. Now, even elimination often follow aldol reaction and led to the alpha beta unsaturated product. In this case, though, Dabco is much more better leaving group than the hydroxyl group in previous cases. So, enolization leads to loss of Dabco in an even elimination, giving the product of the reaction. We have also discussed about the what is even elimination, and here Dabco is recovered as a catalyst. How it took place elimination? You can see over here, because of this kind of cleavage over here took place, because this bonded electron, or we can say covalently bonded electron, will attracted by this nitrogen because of this positive charge, and we will get this kind of product along with this catalyst Dabco we can recovered over here. A disadvantage we have already pointed out that of Baylis-Hillman reaction is its rate. Typically several days are required because rate is slow. Pressure helps speed the reaction up, but as a catalyst Dabco is about the best. It is a nucleophile because of the tied back alkyl group. Importantly, it is a good leaving group. We are talking about Dabco because it has a relatively low pKa, meaning it leaves easily in the last step we have discussed in the last reaction. Good nucleophiles are usually bad leaving group, although there are many exceptions. Dabco's combination of nucleophilicity and leaving group ability is perfect here. The exposed nature of nitrogen atom in cyclic amines means that nitrogen heterocycles are very frequently encountered in drug molecules, particularly those operating in its central nervous system. We can say cocaine, heroin, morphine contain nitrogen heterocyclics, as do cocaine and many tranquilizers such as Valium. But the ring can also be used as support for adding substituents that hinder nitrogen's lone pair. The lithium salt of TMP, we can also say LiTMP, is an analogy of LDA. LDA is what? A base that experiences enormous steric hindrance that can be used in situations where the selectivity even of LDA fails. You can see here, this is 2266 tetramethylpiperidine, and when it react with butyl lithium, it will give you LiTMP. This is the structure of lithium tetramethylpiperidine. Now, oxygen heterocycles. Ring opening chemistry is characteristic of oxygen heterocycles too. Epoxides are particularly reactive. We are discussed about epoxide in previous lecture. What are epoxide? Are particularly reactive because ring opening releases ring strain and driving the reaction forward direction. In general, oxygen heterocycles such as cyclic ethers are relatively unreactive. Ethers are least reactive of all the common functional group. This is one of the main reason why THF, that is tetrahydrofuran, and dioxane are such important solvents. A second reason is that they solvate organometallics by donating a lone pair to stabilize an electron deficient metal cation, for example lithium. Cyclic ethers are better donors. Better donors means they are more nucleophilic in nature, they can donate their lone pair of electron easily than acyclic ones, for the same reason that cyclic amines are more nucleophilic than acyclic ones. We have discussed in last slides. This interaction of lone pair with Lewis acid make ethers more reactive. BF3, that is trifluoroboron is commonly used to activate cyclic ethers towards nucleophilic attack and even with epoxides. It increases the rate of and yield of the reaction when organometallic reagents are used as nucleophile. You know what is organometallic reagent? In which a metal is directly attached to a organic species known as organometallic reagents. Butyl lithium does not react with oxetane unless a Lewis acid such as BF3 is added, because it activates towards nucleophilic attack. THF by contrast gives only a low yield of product even with a Lewis acid in contrast to BF3. These are the examples you can say. This is oxetane. When it reacts with normal lithium butyl and BF3 in the presence of BF3, no reaction without BF3. So, we have to take this BF3 and you can see how reaction took place. It can attack to this carbon because this bond will break up due to this oxygen, or we can say oxygen with positive charge, and here we will get a compound with good quantitative yield. While when we react this kind of ring with THF, we will get less yield, that is 20% yield. A more common reaction between lithium butyl and THF is not nucleophilic attack but deprotonation. That is, we will get the product of higher oxidation state and low oxidation state with respect to the reactant oxidation state. This is called deprotonation. You will have noticed that reactions involving lithium butyl in THF are invariably carried out at temperature 0 degree Celsius or below, for example, minus 78 degree Celsius. This is because at this temperature above 0 degree Celsius, deprotonation of THF begins. The deprotonated THF is unstable and it undergoes a reaction we call a reverse 2+3 cycloaddition. The product are thus much less basic, enolate of acetaldehyde and ethylene. The first tend to polymerize and the second usually evaporates from the reaction mixture, and you can see how the reaction took place. You can see over here, first of all this attack to this, it will taken this proton by this kind of removal, and here the cycloaddition reaction, yani concerted mechanism. What is concerted mechanism? All the bond formation and bond breakage of a reactant or the group of reactant took place simultaneously, and no chemical reagents are required here. You can see over here, no chemical reagents are there, only initiation can take place over here by sunlight or by thermal, or we can say by providing heat. So, what is cycloaddition reaction? A concerted mechanism in which bond breakage and formation takes place simultaneously, initiated by photon or by thermal initiation. So, here you can see these kind of product are formed, enolate of acetaldehyde and ethylene. This reaction is slow and stirred the organolithium in THF for 6 hours at 0 degree Celsius. No 5-membered ring product, instead they get a compound with an extra ethyl group. They showed that this ethyl group in fact comes from THF, that is tetrahydrofuran. The organolithium did not add to the double bond in the same molecule, but it adds slowly and in low yield to the double bond of the ethylene, that is formed by decomposition of THF. And here you can see how the reaction took place, how the this lithium will group eliminate in presence of THF at 0 degree Celsius, and here you can see a extra ethyl group is introduced over here, and it will give this kind of elimination. The most common use of tetrahydropyran derivative is a protecting groups. Next heterocycles are sulfur heterocyclics, that is heterocyclic saturated heterocyclic compound which contains heteroatom sulfur. What sulfur does? What is the specific characteristic of sulfur? Sulfur stabilizes an adjacent anion, meaning that sulfur heterocycles are much easier to deprotonate than THF. The most important of these contains 2 sulfur atoms. For example, dithiene. Deprotonation of dithiene, this is the structure of dithiene derivative. Here we can say deprotonation of dithiene occurs in between the 2 heteroatom, that is over here. These are the 2 heteroatoms sulfur, and the deprotonation took place over this carbon. Substituted derivative of dithiene is deprotonated by butylithium to give a nucleophilic organolithium that will attack electrophile, even oxygen electrophile. Here you can see, first of all, this kind of product is formed by the butylithium, that is this proton is replaced by lithium. Now this will attack to this electrophile, or we can say over here you can see this oxygen bearing positive charges act as electrophile over here. The product are formed in excellent yield. So this kind of addition product will form an excellent yield even when the electrophile is THF, tetrahydrophosphorus, with no ring strain to drive the reaction. After the addition reaction, the dithiene ring can be hydrolyzed with mercury to give a ketone. You can see over here this compound, when react with mercury chloride and methanol, it will give you this kind of product, that is alcoholic group. To give a ketone, alcoholic with this ketonic group, and this ketone carrying other useful functional group, we have stated this is alcoholic group. Now the very important part of saturated heterocyclics about its characteristic, that is how can we confirm the conformation or the structure of saturated heterocycles. Here we are discuss about a very important point, that is NMR study. How can we confirm the conformation of saturated heterocycles? We are taking the help of first of all NMR study, that is nuclear magnetic resonance. We will concentrate about the nuclear magnetic resonance of proton. This is called Karplus relationship. When you studied about spectroscopy, we have studied that coupling, that is coupling about the proton of adjacent, or we can say the geminal protons or the cis proton or this trans proton in NMR spectra is a through bond. Coupling is through bond and not through space effect, that is in the 3 dimension, but it is through the bond formed between the 2 carbon atoms. That is why trans alkene have bigger coupling constant, we are talking about J, than alkenes. Cis alkenes than cis alkenes. The coupling constant in a cyclohexane tells us that coupling is greatest. When it is greatest? When the hydroxyl bonds involved are most parallel, when their dihedral angle is close to 0 or 180. That is why we are called about the parallel position. CH bond in simple cyclohexane can have dihedral angles of only 60 degree or 180 degree, we have discussed it. But by examining coupling constant in a range of other compounds, it is possible to draw up a description of way coupling carries with the dihedral angle. And you can see this is the graphical representation, this is the coupling constant J, and it varies, and how it varies at 0 degree angle, the value of J will be the highest value, at 90 degree angle it will be the 0 value, and in 180 again it will be have a highest value of J, and in between 0 to 90 and 90 to 80 the values varies. You can see at the bond angle increases, for the values decreases, and after 90 degree the values increases, and at 180 it becomes maximum. The CH bonds in simple cyclohexane can have dihedral angle, we have discussed only 60 and 180, but by examining complete constant it is possible, we have drawn the dihedral angle with J values. In the bicyclic compound, a dihedral angle close to 90 and the complete constant is 0 Hertz. The complete correlation was worked out by Karplus scientist in the 1960s, and this is called Karplus relationship. It is easiest to understand as a graph of against dihedral angle. The coupling is largest when the orbitals of two carbon hydrogen bonds are perfectly parallel. That is, in case of transcycline or trans diaxial carbon hydrogen bonds of a cyclohexene. Coupling is nearly as largest at 0 value also when orbitals are in the same plane but not parallel. So, when the CH bonds are parallel and in same plane, the value will varies. Coupling is 0 when dihedral angle is 90 degree, that is, we can say orthogonal orbitals do not interact with each other. The curve is flattened around 90 degree and 180 degree, and J varies little in these regions from compound to compound. The curve slopes steeply at about 60 degree and 120 degree. J varies a lot in this region, and small changes of angular from compound to compound according to the neighboring effect. The determination of conformation by NMR, by nuclear magnetic resonance, may determine configuration at the same time. This often occurs when there are two or more constituents on the ring. For example, the reduction of tertiary butyl cyclohexanone can be controlled by a choice of reagent to give either a cis or trans alcohol. You can see over here. Here you can see the positions are axial, equatorial, H and OH, and this is trans alcohol because of this, and this is a cis alcohol. The products are easy to tell apart because the hydrogen appears quite different in the NMR spectrum about when we talking about cis and trans. In one, it is quite a fine multiplet. You can see over here, this is a fine multiplet. In other, it is much broader. You can see over here the values, this value 2.5 Hertz. The bulky normal butyl group always goes equatorial, and each hydroxyl group has two identical axial neighbors and two identical equatorial neighbors. Each hydrogen appears as a triplet of triplets. As in alcohol, both couplings are small. The values are 2.7 and 3.0 Hertz, but in the trans alcohol, the axial coupling is much larger. That is why this value goes higher range. This is 11.1, then axial equatorial, whose values is just 4.3. The same ideas can be used to study about the conformation in saturated heterocyclic systems, as we have discussed in last example. Hydrogenation of double bond in this unsaturated acetal, gives the saturated compound as a single isomer. But which one are of those substituent methyl and ethoxy, cis or trans? Both are the possibility over here after this hydrogenation. We can have this cis saturated acetal and we can have this trans saturated acetal. So, we have discussed about the NMR, how to confirm the conformation of a saturated heterocycles. We have discussed about the oxygen heterocycles, we have discussed about the sulfur heterocycles, how their conformation can be confirmed by nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. Hope you understood this. Thank you so much. In the previous part of saturated heterocycles, we have discussed about oxygen and sulfur heterocycles, and we were discussing about the conformation of saturated heterocycles. In the continuation of that part, we are here to discuss about the stereochemistry of a antibiotic. Only fully saturated 6-membered rings are really chairs or boat. We knows it. Even with one double bond in the ring is partially flattened if it is there. A unique antibiotic has been discovered in China called Xiongxin. That is a new kind of mycin, where mycin means antibiotic. It is unique because it is a sulfur containing indole. Few natural products and no other antibiotic have such kind of structure. During attempts to synthesize this kind of compound, Kozikowski, the scientist or research scholar, hydrogenated the alkene ester to give an undoubted product. Hydrogenation was cis selective. You can see this is the structure of the antibiotic. This is Xiongxin mycin, and how it took place you can see over here. This kind of structure they took, and after this catalytic reduction they will get this kind of product along with trans stereomer. Now, how can we determine when coupling constant, that is we have discussed in last slides, J are of no value, or we can say it could not help out. Now, we can help then the nuclear Overhauser effect. We will discuss in detail how. Corpus relationship suggests, what is suggest the proton spend much of their time with their bonds, not in space but with their bonds with a dihedral angle close to 180, and from this we can deduce that compound has the conformation as well as the configuration. A more difficult problem is the assignment of stereochemistry of the elimination product from this bromoamine and the base. It is not a simple question because elimination also involves rearrangement of the amino group. The product is an alkene with two possible geometries. Here you can say we are taking this kind of reactant, and this kind of rearrangement, or we can say elimination, here two possibilities are there, cis as well as trans. Nuclear Overhauser effect is what is rather different from coupling in the information. It tells us which hydrogens are close in space. So, here we are talking about a 3-dimensional space rather than their relation through bonds. We have discussed about coupling constant. Irradiating protons in an NOE experiment give rise to enhancement at other protons that are nearby in space. No coupling is required, and NOE is not a through bond phenomenon. NOE spectra are usually presented as differences. What differences? The enhanced spectrum values minus the unenhanced values, so that small enhancement of intensity in the peaks of certain protons can be spotted immediately, and we can detect the NOE value in any spectra. Applying NOE to the problem in hand solve the structure. If the proton next to the nitrogen atom, for example this, in piperidine ring are irradiated, that is these protons are irradiated and these protons are irradiated. So, here we can see these protons have this kind of environment, phenyl group, and these protons have this proton intense. So, these two groups proton must be near in space. So, we can say this compound is E-alkene, because this leads to the nuclear Overhauser enhancement of the signal of alkene proton. Because of this proton, the value is enhanced with respect to this value when we are irradiating these 4 protons. That is why we can say, because these protons are on the same side, so compound will be E. Data from NOE experiments nicely supplement information from coupling constant in the determination of 3-dimensional stereochemistry too. Reduction of this bicyclic ketone with a bulky hydride reducing reagent gives a distereoisomer of alcohol, but which one? Irradiation of proton next to the hydroxyl group leads to the NOE to the proton, that is enhancement in the value. Which value? This proton, it is close to this hydroxyl, and this proton NOE observed, so product must be. This suggests that 2 protons are on the same side of the molecule, and that reduction has occurred by hydride delivery to the face of the ketone opposite to two methyl groups on the three-membered ring. A combination of Copley constant, as we have discussed by Karplus equation, and NOE effect, as we have discussed recently, is routinely used to assign the stereochemistry of the reaction products. One is the space phenomena and other is the bond phenomena. Now, heterocyclic in rings have axial and equatorial lone pairs. We are talking about the lone pairs of heteroatom in saturated heterocycles. We know every heterocycles have lone pair of electron. It can be one lone pair of electron, as we are discussing, and it can have two lone pair of electron. For example, here we are taking the example of acetal hydrolysis, stabilization of the forming positive charge by an adjacent lone pair. Felicitate the elimination step of the mechanism. Here you can see, when this lone pair of electron present over this oxygen, it eliminates the elimination of this group. Let us consider what happens in the acetal hydrolysis, where the acetal is a saturated heterocycles. So, by the elimination of this, we will get what? Oxonium ion, this is oxygen plus. Yet, when we try to draw the conformation of lone pair, we run into a problem. Neither overlaps with carbon-oxygen bond, that is breaking, and so neither can donate its lone electron density into the carbon-oxygen. Another way of looking at this is to say that intermediate oxonium ion with a carbon-oxygen double bond formed by one of the oxygen lone pair would be extremely strained. That is, this oxonium ion would be unfeasibly unstrained. You can see the structure of this. Not surprisingly, the rate of hydrolysis of acetal is now very slow compared with similar ones in which overlap between the oxygen lone pair and the carbon oxygen is possible. The acetal on the right hydrolysis is faster. Here you can see the overlap of or we can say that this lone pair of electron can be combined with this carbon oxygen. So, hydrolysis is faster as compared to this, where the hydrolysis is very slow. Some substituent of saturated heterocycles prefer to be axial, and this is called anomeric effect. Stereoelectronic effect affect structure and in particular conformation. Some of the most important saturated oxygen heterocycles are the sugars. You know what are sugars? For example, we are taking the glucose is a cyclic hemiacetal, a penta-substituted tetrahydropyran. This is the structure of glucose, and you can say this is the chair form. About 2/3 of glucose in solution exists as this stereoisomer, but hemiacetal formation and cleavage is rapid, and this is an equilibrium with further 1/3 that carries the hemiacetal hydroxyl group axial. You can see this is the axial group. It is the 1% and it is the 35% when the group is axial. Glucose prefers all its constituents to be equatorial. For 4 of them, of course, there is no choice. They are either all equatorial or all axial. The only way they can get from one to other is by ring flipping. One can be flipped to the axial and axial can flip to the equatorial. But for the 5th substituent, the hydroxyl group next to the ring oxygen, known as anomeric hydroxyl group, a choice between axial and equatorial, is made available by hemiacetal cleavage and reformation, and it can convert its configuration. For most derivatives of glucose, the anomeric substituent prefer to be axial rather than equatorial. You can see over here the percentage of the possibility of the compound. The anomeric effect. In general, any tetrahydropyran bearing an electronegative substituent in 2 position will prefer that substituent to be axial. This is known as anomeric. If you can see this kind of structure anywhere, then this group will prefer to be axial as compared to the equatorial. This is with respect to this oxygen, it is axial in position and it is equatorial, and this is the preferable position, that is axial. Anomeric effect in spirochetal. What are spirochetal? You can see this is the spirochetal. Many fruit flies have pheromones based on spirochetal structure which we could represent without stereochemistry as shown below. Here this spectre does not show any stereochemistry. We can say a flat molecule, two-dimension molecule. The spirochetal in an acetal of ketone made of two rings joined at a single atom made from dihydroxy ketone, and indeed this is very often how they are made synthetically. But this is a bad representation. Because why it is so? Because these compounds do not have any stereochemistry, and its stereochemistry is very interesting while talking about any research. If R is equal to H, a phenomena of olive fly for example, in its chair conformation, there are three possible conformation for spirochetal. You can see over here. This oxygen, if axial, it will be equatorial. Both oxygen atom are equatorial and both are axial. Consider the orientation of each CO bond with respect to the ring. Each CO are not axial or equatorial, but there are three possible, or we can say there are three possible conformations. But which one is preferred? This one is preferred. Why it is so? Because without knowing about anomeric effect, you would find it hard to predict which conformation is favored. Indeed, you might expect to get mixture of all three, but NMR tells us that this compound exists entirely in one conformation. Which one is that? This one is that, in which each oxygen atom is axial on the other ring. Only in this conformation can both CO bonds benefit from anomeric effect. This is often known as double anomeric effect. Here you can see this is the oxygen and this is the equatorial. The equatorial lone pair cannot interact with CO. It cannot interact with CO because of the equatorial. Related effects in other types of compounds. The key requirement for the anomeric effect is that there is a heteroatom. It can be oxygen, it can be nitrogen, it can be sulfur with lone pair of electron adjacent to or nearby to a low-lying, low energy anti-bonding orbital, usually CX, that is a carbon attached to the halo atom or halogen atom, and this sigma star show the anti-bonding. The CX bond does not have to within the ring. For example, the nitrogen heterocyclic shown below, here you can see nitrogen heterocyclic prefer to have the R group axial. This group when attached prefer to be axial, so that nitrogen gets an equatorial lone pair of electrons. So, a conformation to be stable, these lone pair of electron should be like this, that is R group to be axial, this is R group and this is equatorial. Equatorial lone pairs are parallel with bonds within the ring. This is our parallel within the ring, one of which is CO. You can see this bond and this orbital, and this conformation is therefore stabilized by an lone pair, or we can say carbon oxygen anti-bonding interaction. In 135 triazine, all three tertiary butyl groups are axial. Here you can see the structure, and we are saying all three groups are axial. Too much steric hindrance, but it can get away from having one of them axial. If we make one of them axial, benefiting from the resulting equatorial lone pair, which can overlap with 2CN. With 2CN, here you can see this is the lone pair of electron, and this is carbon. This is carbon and nitrogen, this is carbon and nitrogen, and these are the orbitals of carbon, and they can easily overlap these lone pair of electron. It is not only in these 6-membered rings that this is stereoelectronic interaction between filled, that is filled and unfilled orbitals stabilize some conformations more than other. So, here you can see which kind of stabilization is there by this filled, or we can say the lone pair of electron, or by the vacant of this carbon orbitals. Stereoelectronic effects control the conformation of other types of molecules also. So, we are concluding that any conformation in which a lone pair is anti-periplanar to a low energy anti-bonding orbital will be stabilized by a stereoelectronic interaction. We start with a compound that is dichloromethane. It's so simple that it has only one conformation because it has no rotatable bonds. You may have wondered why it is the, you know what, how conformations are formed because of the rotation of single bond. You may have wondered why it is that while methyl chloride is a reactive electrophile that takes part readily in substitution reactions, dichloroethane is so unreactive that it can be used as a solvent in which substitution reaction of other alkyl halide takes place. You may think that there is a steric effect, indeed carbon is bigger, we know it, than hydrogen, but dichloromethane is much less reactive as an electrophile than ethyl chloride or propyl chloride, because there must be more to its unreactivity. And there is a dichloromethane benefits from a sort of permanent anomeric effect. We have discussed stereoelectronic interactions. One lone pair of each chlorine is always anti-periplanar to this carbon chlorine bond, so that there is always stabilization from this anomeric effect. Acetals are among the most widespread classes of acyclic compounds to exhibit stereoelectronic control over conformation. Take the simple acetal of formaldehyde and methanol. For example, what its conformation? An obvious suggestion is so draw it fully extended form, so that each group is fully anti-periplanar to every other. This would be the lowest energy conformation of pentane, and which you get if you just replace the oxygens with CH2S group. The trouble is in this conformation, none of the oxygen lone pair gets chance to donate into the carbon oxygen anti-bonding orbitals. Although putting the bonds anti-periplanar to one another makes steric sense electronically, the molecule much prefers to put the lone pair anti-periplanar to this carbon oxygen bond, so the bonds themselves end up Gauchy to one another. This is known as Gauchy effect, but it is really just another way in which the stereoelectronic effect that give rise to anomeric effect turn up in the acyclic system. Now amides are planar with particularly double CN bonds, carbon nitrogen bonds, and tertiary amides have one alkyl group, cis2 oxygen and none, and one trans. But what about esters? Esters are less reactive than acyl chloride because donation from the oxygen p orbital into the carbonyl. So we expect them to be planar too, and they are, but there are two possible planar conformation for an ester, one R cis to the oxygen and one with trans. You can see this is the trans with respect to this carbonyl group, and this is trans, and you can say all bonds shown in plane. You can say this oxygen with this orbitals, this carbon, again all these orbitals are in same plane. Donation from lone pair oxygen into pi antibonding keeps ester planar. Here are the two conformations drawn out of ethyl acetate when the ethyl group, that is R, oxygen R, as not only one can oxygen lone pair interact with carbon double bond oxygen pi antibonding, but the other lone pair can also donate into antibonding of carbonyl bond. This is not possible when ethyl and oxygen are trans. They have to be in the same plane. There are no longer anti-periplanar. The cis conformation of esters is generally the preferred one. Even in formate esters, where the alkyl group ends up in what it is clearly a more sterically hindered orientation. Here you can see this is ester group, this is carbon orbital, this is oxygen lone pair of electron orbital, and this is cis about this because they are, you can see this is the cis position, and here you can see this is the trans because of with respect to this carbon orbital and with respect to this oxygen lone pair of electron. In this conformation, additional stabilization is possible, as shown lone pair of oxygen can donate into this carbon oxygen low lying antibonding orbital. Pi orbitals not shown for clarity, and this is trans. In this conformation, no additional stabilization is possible. Brown lone pair of electron, or you can see this lone pair of electron cannot be donated to this because of this trans orientation. cyclic esters lactones cannot lysis because of the ring, and this is one of the reason why lactones are distinctly more reactive than ester, because this kind of stabilization is not there. Now, synthesis of saturated heterocycles. First of all, we are discussing about the ring closing reactions. The most important method is by ring closing reaction, because we can usually use the heteroatom as the nucleophile in the intramolecular substitution, or we can take in addition reaction. Ring closing reactions are of just opposite that of ring opening reaction. We can start with a reaction that works well in both direction, ring closure as well as ring opening. Here you can say formation of epoxide. How it will take place? First of all, a base will abstract this proton, and then there is a formation of ring. How it took place? You can see this electrons will get attracted to this carbon, because this electron or these electrons get shifted towards more electronegative atom. Here you can see this is chloride. So, epoxide ring is formed over here. The same method can also be used to generate larger cyclic ethers. Oxetane, here you can see this is the oxetane, is conveniently made by adding 3-chloropropyl acetate potassium hydroxide. The first step is in this reaction the hydrolysis of ester. The alkoxide, this is alkoxide produced and undergoes intramolecular substitution. Here you can say because of these electron which get shifted to this carbon. Why this shifted to this carbon? Because of elimination, because of better leaving group, because of the electronegativity difference, because these electrons get shifted towards chloride ion. So, it can easily attack to this and we can get a oxetane by substitution. Tetrahydropyran, this is what? Tetrahydropyran, a 5-membered with oxygen, it becomes 6-membered, and tetrahydropyran was first prepared as early as 1890s by a ring closer that occurs when a mixture of 1,5-pentane diol. You can see this is 1,5 hydroxyl group are at the extreme, and this is diol, we can say 1,5-pentane diol with sulfuric acid. First of all, what happens? Protonation of one group takes place, that is OH group OH2, and this is a better leaving group, you know. So, these electrons get shifted to this oxygen plus, and here you can say it will attack to this, because here a electrophilic center is produced and it will attack by these lone pair of electron. So, we will get a saturated heterocycle, that is tetrahydropyran. These are all SN2 reactions, that is substitution nucleophilic bimolecular. What is that? It is it includes a transition state, that is formation and cleavage took place simultaneously. So, you will not be surprised that nitrogen heterocycles can be prepared in the same way. Aziridine itself was first prepared in 1888 from the 2-chloroethylamine. Related reactions can be used to form 3, 5, 6-membered nitrogen heterocycles, but fail to form 4-membered ring. In fact, 4-membered rings are generally among the hardest to form. This is the rate of formation of saturated rings. You can see this is 5-membered, we can form easily, then 6-membered, then 3-membered, 7, 8, and then 8 to 10. Once you get to 5-membered rings, the rate of formation drops consistently as the ring size moves from normal 5, 6 and to medium 8 to 13 rings. Small 3-pair rings insert into the sequence after 6. The reason for the two superimposed strands is two opposing factors. What are these? Firstly, small rings form slowly because forming them introduce ring strain. We have a strain about bare ring strain. This ring strain is the even at the transition state, raising its energy and slowing down the reaction. The activation energy for forming a 3-membered ring is very high due to strain, but ring decreases as the ring gets larger, that is 7, 8. This explains why 3 and 4-membered do not fit straightforwardly into the sequence because of the ring strain. But if the reaction rate simply dependent on the strain of the product, the slowest reaction would be the formation of 3-membered ring because of the high strain, and the 6-membered ring which are essentially strain free would be fastest. Yet the data shows 4-membered rings form more slowly than 3-membered ring. Why it is so? We can explain because of this equation, that is delta G activation energy is equal to delta H, that is enthalpy of activation, and T and delta S, that is entropy of the reaction. Here how can we explain? The activation energy barriers, that is delta G plus of our reactions, are made of two parts. One is enthalpy of activation, delta H, which what it tells? It tells about the energy required to bring about together against the strain and against the repulsive forces they usually have. And what is entropy? Which tells, what is entropy? Entropy is the randomness, which tells us about the how easy is it to form an ordered transition state from a wriggling and randomly rotating molecule. Delta G for 3 and 4-membered ring formation is large because delta H is large. So, energy is needed to bend the molecule into the strain small ring conformation. Delta H for 5, 6 and 7-member ring is smaller. This is the quantifiable representation of ring strain. The second factor is one that depends on delta S, how much order must be imposed on the molecules to get it to react with another reactant. Think of it this way, a long chain has a lot of disorder. So, to get its end up to meet a reaction means it has to be give up a lot of freedom. So, for the formation of medium and large rings, delta S is large and should be negative, contributing to a large delta H and slow reactions. Delta is very small for 3-membered rings, so while delta H is large, there is a little additional contribution from T delta S term. Cyclization is relatively fast. For 3-membered rings, reacting atoms are already very close together and almost no order needs to imposing the molecule to get it to cyclize. Rotating about just one bond is all that is needed to ensure that amine group is in the perfect position to attack the carbon bromide bond. 4-membered rings suffer the worst of both worlds. Forming a 4-membered ring introduces the ring strain and requires order to be imposed on the molecules. And here you can see 5 to 7 members ring how cyclization is take place. And here you can see because of large size no ring strain there and the value will be small and the deltas will be large. So, you can get this kind of cyclization. Ring formation. The 3-membered ring formation is the fastest, the product is strained but delta H is large. This is the offset by reaction them being as close. 4-membered ring forms slowly, the product is still significantly strained but the reacting atoms are now right next to each other. 5-membered ring formation is offset fastest of all, significantly less strain we have discussed earlier and ends are still not too far apart. 6-membered ring formation experiences no strain we have discussed, but neither does it have the advantage of the ends being close because of the large size. 7-membered rings again beyond form more slowly as delta S increases, or we can say the disorderness increases or random atoms increases. 4-membered rings about oxytane and azitidine are considerably less reactive towards ring opening and nucleophilic processes than their 3-membered counterparts, but oxytane will react the organolithium reagents in the presence of boron trifluoride and azitidine opened on the hitting with concentrated HCl. Here you can see the ring opening of 4-membered heterocycles and this is the antibiotic. You can see this is the structure of penicillin gene and this is cephalosporin C. The most important 4-membered system is undoubtedly the beta-lactam, which is present and essential for biological activity of penicillin we have shown earlier and cephalosporin antibiotics. The beta-lactams are very susceptible to ring opening by attack at the carbonyl-carbon contrast to 5-membered ring, which are resistant to nucleophilic attack at carbonyl-carbon. In addition, beta-lactams are hydrolyzed by specific enzyme beta-lactamase, the production of which is a mechanism by which bacteria become resistant to such antibiotics. So, we have discussed about the conformation of saturated heterocycles according to the NMR studies. We have discussed according to the NOE, that is nuclear Overhauser effect. We have discussed according to the anomeric effect. So, we can conclude the stereochemistry not only stereochemistry but conformations of saturated heterocyclics about nitrogen, sulfur and oxygen, and we have discussed about the synthesis of saturated heterocyclics by ring opening or ring closing reactions. Hope you understood these saturated heterocycles, which are very important part of heterocyclic and polynuclear hydrocarbons. Thank you so much.
Dear friends, due to paucity of time, we have to stop our lecture here. On that note, we would like to thank Dr. Vandana for coming to our show and delivering this wonderful lecture. And thank you, dear friends, for attending our lecture. Stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you.